Terran stood at the gate of the royal palace on Zelaron Prime, his boots dusty from the long walk across the city. Around him, tall guards in polished armor stood silent, their faces hidden behind shining helmets. None of them offered a greeting. None offered a smile. He was a guest, yes, but not truly welcome. Humans were new to the galactic scene. Not weak, but not feared. Not trusted either. Some worlds found humans strange. Others thought they were reckless. On Zelaron Prime, they were simply ignored. Still, Terran had come with purpose. He wore no armor, no weapon, just a simple dark vest, a belt with translator, and a badge showing he was Earth's envoy. His mission was peace, his voice calm, his steps steady. The palace doors opened with a soft hum. Inside, the halls were wide and covered with gold glass. Crystals floated in the air, glowing blue. Statues of great warriors lined the walls. The smell of sweet smoke and rare spice filled the air. A servant led him to the queen's court. The throne room was full. Nobles with long robes and bright skin stood in small groups, whispering. The royal family sat on a platform dressed in silks and metal. At the center was the queen, tall, silver-haired, eyes cold like ice. To her right stood the royal guard commander, Vorak. He was massive, even for his kind. His armor looked more like a wall of steel than clothing. His arms were thick as tree trunks, and a spear rested on his back. Terran bowed with respect. "I bring greetings from Earth," he said clearly. "We come not to rule, not to beg. We come to stand equal." Some nobles laughed softly. Others raised an eyebrow. Vorak snorted loud enough for all to hear. The queen spoke slowly, her voice sharp and smooth. Earth walks bravely into ancient space, but words are easy. Deeds matter more. "I understand," Terran replied. "That is why I came myself." The queen nodded, but Vorak stepped forward. "Your kind hides behind tools," Vorak said. "Your ships are clever. Your machines are fast. But here, in the royal court, we value strength. A true voice comes from a warrior's hand." Terran looked up at the giant. "If you want truth," Vorak said, pointing a thick finger, "then face me in the honor pit. There, lies are washed away." A hush fell over the room. No one had expected a duel. Not today, not from a human. The servant beside Terran leaned close. "You may decline. No shame will follow." But Terran didn't move. He looked around the court. Every eye was on him. He saw doubt. He saw pride. And he saw fear. Not of him, but of the unknown. Then he looked back at Vorak and spoke just one sentence. "I accept." Gasps echoed around the chamber. The queen did not smile, but she did not stop the challenge either. "So be it," she said. "At dawn, in the honor pit." The nobles whispered among themselves. Some looked excited. Others looked worried. Few believed the human would survive. Terran was led to a guest chamber deep within the palace. The walls were made of soft stone. A single window looked out over the arena far below. He sat on the edge of the bed and removed the translator from his ear. He thought of home, of Earth's endless skies and loud cities, of fields, rivers, and stars. He thought of the training halls in the Earth Defense Corps, years of movement, timing, discipline, not strength, but balance, not size, but speed. He touched the bracelet on his wrist. It was old, scratched, and small. It had the name of a friend he had lost in the last war. A reminder, not to fight unless it mattered. A soft knock came at the door. An older alien entered, robes trailing behind him. His name was Riven, a historian, and one of the few on Zelaron who studied Earth from afar. "You could have walked away," Riven said. "I know. Vorak is not just a soldier. He is the war-blooded. He's trained from birth. I've faced worse. Riven looked at the bracelet on Terran's wrist. You do not carry a weapon. I don't need one, Riven sighed. Your kind surprises me. That may be your strength. He left without another word. Terran remained seated, calm. He breathed slow and deep. He did not fear death. He had faced it before. What he feared was leaving no mark, being forgotten, letting the galaxy believe that humans were only clever, never brave. The sun of Zelaran Prime began to set, casting red light over the city. Outside, the arena was being prepared. The honor pit was a wide circle made of dark stone. High walls surrounded it, lined with torches. In the center, a mark was carved, a symbol of balance, war, and truth. Battles here were rare, but sacred. No one interfered. No rules except one: survive. The nobles would watch, the queen would witness, and history would remember. Back in his chamber, Terran closed his eyes and rested. No fear, no anger, just breath. At dawn, he would stand before a giant with no armor, no weapon, and only one chance. But he was human, and that was enough. The first light of morning crept over the tall crystal towers of Zelaran Prime. The golden sky shimmered as two suns began to rise together. In the palace, servants moved quickly, lighting the torches and preparing the path that led down to the honor pit. It was a sacred place, and even the smallest mistake in ceremony could bring shame to the court. Terran stood at the center of his chamber, facing a mirror made of polished stone. His eyes were steady, his hands calm. He wore the same vest from yesterday, the one without armor, no padding, no shield. Only the bracelet on his wrist remained, old and worn. A servant arrived with a tray. On it rested a traditional weapon of the court, a curved blade with glowing edges. Terran looked at it, then shook his head. No, I won't carry it. The servant was shocked. Without a weapon, you have no chance. I'm not here to impress them, he said. I'm here to show them something new. The servant left in silence. In the arena, crowds filled the high stone seats. Nobles in long robes arrived early, eager to watch the human fall. Some held crystals to record the duel. Others brought their children to witness a lesson in strength. The air was filled with low voices and flickering lights. High above them, all the queen took her place. She sat on a golden seat with her guards around her. Her eyes searched the arena, not for the duel, but for what it would reveal. She wanted more than blood. She wanted truth. Commander Vorak stood in the arena first. His armor was heavy, thick with silver plates. A long red cape flowed from his shoulders. In his right hand, he held the plasma spear. It glowed faint blue, its tip pulsing with energy. He slammed it into the ground. The stone cracked. He roared to the sky. The crowd answered with cheers. Then Terran entered, no armor, no weapon, no fear, just a human in a simple vest, walking slowly across the stone floor. His boots made soft steps that echoed in the pit. He didn't wave. He didn't bow. He simply stood. The crowd laughed at first. Some called out jokes, some booed, others shook their heads. To them, this duel was already over. The queen raised her hand. The signal was given. The duel would begin. Vorak charged. Like a storm, the giant warrior moved forward with speed that did not match his size. The plasma spear cut through the air, with deadly force. It came straight toward Terran's chest. Terran moved. One step left. The spear passed beside him. He didn't blink. Vorak turned quickly and swung again. This time from the side, but Terran ducked, smooth and low. The tip of the spear missed him by inches. Again and again, Vorak attacked. His arms moved like hammers. His legs slammed into the ground like falling trees. But Terran never blocked. He never hit back. He only moved. Left, right, forward, back. To the crowd, it looked like a dance. 10 minutes passed. Vorak was breathing hard now. His strikes slowed. His hands gripped the spear tighter. Sweat rolled down his neck. The armor felt heavier with each. Step Taran had not spoken, had not struck once. The crowd was silent now. No cheers, no laughter. Vorak roared again and lifted the spear high for one final blow. He jumped, spinning in the air, bringing the weapon down with all his strength. Taran stepped under the attack and placed his open palm against Vorak's neck. Just a touch. One clean strike. Vorak collapsed. Not dead, not broken, but finished. The big spear clattered on the stone floor. Taran stood over him, breathing slow and steady. He looked up at the queen, then at the nobles. No smile, no anger, only calm. A few nobles rose from their seats. They didn't cheer, but they nodded. Others looked away, ashamed or confused. The younger ones stared in disbelief. The queen stood. Her voice rang across the arena. Victory belongs to the one who masters himself. Taran of Earth, you have honored our laws. She turned to her guards. Carry Commander Vorak with respect. He fought with courage. 4 guards entered the arena and lifted the fallen warrior. His eyes were open, and he looked at Taran with something that might have been respect or confusion. Taran bowed slightly as Vorak passed. The queen then faced the crowd. Let this be remembered. Power does not always roar. Sometimes it moves like wind. We must learn from both. She stepped down from her throne and walked toward the arena floor. The crowd parted for her. Taran waited. When she reached him, she stopped. They were almost the same height. You risked much, she said. I didn't come to win, Taran answered. I came to be seen. You have been seen, she said, and now others will watch more closely. She looked at the bracelet on his wrist. A reminder? A promise, he said. To whom? To a friend who believed peace can be earned without killing. The queen nodded. You've earned the right to speak in the royal circle, she said. One voice among many. Use it well. Taran said nothing. He only bowed. Behind them, the suns rose higher in the sky. The shadows of the arena stretched long across the stone floor. For the first time in many years, the honor pit had told a new story. And for the first time, the name of Earth was spoken not with doubt, but with thought. The palace halls were quieter now. After the duel, Taran had returned to his guest chamber. The doors had been closed behind him. No servants came. No words were spoken, but something had changed. Outside, the city of Zelaron Prime was awake. In the sky, long ships flew past the towers. Markets buzzed below. Lights blinked across the walls like stars. But in the court, the silence held weight. Taran stood near the window, looking down at the honor pit. From here, he could still see the broken lines on the floor, where Vorak's spear had hit the stone again and again. He could also see the exact place where he had stood still, waited, and touched the neck of a warrior no one believed could fall. He knew what it meant now. He had not just won a duel. He had stepped into the galaxy's story. A soft sound broke. The quiet. The chamber door opened, and Riven entered. The old historian held a scroll, its edges glowing softly. You've been called, Riven said. Already? Yes. The queen has placed your name among the royal circle. Taran turned. What do they want from me? They want to see if you're more than a clever fighter. Taran took the scroll. He opened it and saw a map. It was a part of space he didn't recognize. These coordinates point to the outer ring, Riven explained, a place where even the royal guards do not walk without fear. What's there? The Skarn, Riven said. Old enemies, ancient hunters. They vanished long ago, but now there are signs of movement. Ships, missing. Signals broken. The Queen wishes to test your judgment. Taran closed the scroll. So it's a second challenge. More dangerous than the first, Riven said. The Skarn do not duel, they consume. Taran nodded once. I'll go. You'll go alone? Yes. Riven hesitated. You don't have to prove yourself again. Taran looked him in the eye. I'm not proving anything. I'm warning them. If the Skarn have returned, it won't just be Zelaron in danger. Riven said nothing more. He turned and left. Taran packed light. He wore a simple black suit fitted for speed and quiet steps. No colors, no armor, just utility. On his back, a short-range cloak for cold winds. Around his wrist, the bracelet stayed. The ship he was given was small, sharp, and silent. Built for speed, not war. By nightfall, he had already crossed the first gate of the outer ring. This part of space looked different. The stars here flickered like they were watching. The planets were quiet, empty. Long stretches of space carried. No sound, no signal. Taran followed the path on the scroll. He reached a dead moon called Draxon, once a mining site, now abandoned. The surface was broken, full of old towers and deep craters. No light came from the base. No signal reached his ship. He landed near the ruins and stepped out. The air was thin but breathable. His boots touched the dust, and it felt like walking on bones. Inside the base, everything was still. Steel doors were left half open, wires hung from the ceiling. Terminals were shattered. But there was no blood, no signs of battle, only silence. Taran moved carefully through each hallway. He listened. He scanned. He recorded. His eyes watched for patterns. His hands touched the walls. He followed the signs like a hunter, then he found it, a trail of markings. Deep claw marks across the wall. Too wide to be made by human tools, too sharp for natural rock. The Skarn had been here. He followed the trail down into the lower levels. Lights flickered, but his path was clear. Then, without warning, he stopped. A sound behind him. Very faint. A breath. Not his. He turned, fast and low, one knee to the ground. There it was. A Skarn. Its body was tall and covered in dark armor that looked grown, not built. Its eyes glowed orange. Its claws dragged across the floor with no sound. It stared at Taran, not with anger, but with interest. It didn't move. Taran didn't either. Then he did something strange. He stood. The Skarn tilted its head. Taran raised both hands. No weapon, no fear. He took one slow step forward. The Skarn growled, low and cold, but didn't attack. I'm not your enemy, Taran said, but I know who is. He pointed upward toward the stars. You remember Earth, he said. You remember what we did the last time. The Skarn's head twitched slightly. You think this galaxy forgot, but we didn't. The Skarn hissed, but didn't strike. Then it turned and vanished into the shadows, fast and silent. Taran didn't chase it. Instead, he returned to the surface. He climbed back into his ship and took off, rising high above the dead moon. Before leaving the system, he sent one clear message to the Queen. The Skarn are watching. They remember us. They fear us. But they will test us again. If war comes, it will come without warning. The message was short. The meaning was deep. Taran sat back in the pilot's seat, watching the stars pass. He knew the Queen would understand. He had not fought. He had not destroyed. But he had learned. And sometimes, in a galaxy full of warriors and weapons, learning was the most dangerous thing of all. Taran's message reached the Queen just before the second moonrise. The crystal tower of the royal palace caught the signal first. The words lit up on a private screen that only the Queen could read. She stood still for a moment, silent as always. Her silver eyes locked on the short report. The Skarn were not only alive, they were aware, and they remembered Earth. She didn't call for counsel. She didn't summon the nobles. She simply turned to the nearby wall and placed her hand on a smooth black stone. A message was sent back to Terran. Return. Speak before the circle. Far from the palace, Terran's ship turned toward Zelaron Prime. He moved with steady hands, his eyes on the stars. Behind him, the moon of Draxon grew smaller. He had seen something there that still echoed in his thoughts. The Skarn didn't attack him. They let him speak. That alone was louder than 1,000 roars. When he landed on the royal grounds, he noticed something strange. This time, the guards at the gates did not ignore him. They stepped aside without words. Their helmets turned slightly as he passed, not out of command but respect. Inside the palace, Riven met him. "They talk about you now," the old historian said, "even those who once laughed." "I didn't bring victory," Terran replied. "No, you brought silence. And in this place, that's far more rare." Terran followed Riven through wide halls until they reached the royal circle. It was a round chamber with no throne. No seat was higher than another. Around the edge, the nobles sat in silence. The queen stood in the center. A single light from above cast her in silver glow. She raised a hand. "Step forward, Terran of Earth." He did. "You have seen what no one else has dared to face," she said. "Speak now." Terran looked at the nobles. He saw proud faces, suspicious eyes, but also curiosity. "I went to Draxon. I found the old base empty, torn but not destroyed. No blood, no remains. But something moved there, something that watched." The queen nodded. "The Skarn, they saw me. One of them stood before me, tall, armored, ready. But it didn't strike." "Why not?" one of the nobles asked. "Because it remembered what humans did before," Terran said. "Your records call us clever, but the Skarn call us something else. Fire." The nobles shifted in their seats. Some looked at each other. One older lord leaned forward. "So you say we should fear them?" Terran shook his head. "I say they already fear us. But fear is not peace. It's only waiting." The queen stepped closer. "If you had attacked, what would have happened?" "I would not be standing here." Silence again. Then the queen spoke. "This chamber has heard many voices. Some shouted, some sang. But today, we heard quiet. And from that quiet, truth." She turned to the nobles. "Let it be known, Terran of Earth has faced the forgotten enemy and returned. He brought no blood, no war, only knowledge, and that is strength." The circle did not cheer, but they did not argue. Heads bowed. Even the proudest noble stayed silent. Later that evening, Terran stood on the highest balcony of the palace. The two suns had dipped low, casting the sky in deep orange. The wind was soft. The city below was lit with pale lights that shimmered, like stars. He stood alone, watching the horizon, when footsteps came behind him. It was Commander Vorak. He wore no armor now. Only a plain cloak, the color of storm clouds. His face was hard, but not angry. A long scar crossed his chin. Terran turned slightly. "You're walking again." "I've walked since the second day," Vorak said, "but I chose not to be seen." "Why? Come now." Vorak stepped beside him. "You didn't have to strike me," the commander said. "But you did. It was the only way to stop the fight." Vorak looked at him with narrowed eyes. "You won." The court bowed, "but you never celebrated." "I wasn't trying to win applause." Vorak nodded slowly. "I watched your report from Draxon. The Skarn let you walk away. That means something." "It means they're thinking," Terran said. "That's the moment before change." Vorak looked at the sky. "You changed something in this court. The young guards whisper about balance, about movement. They practice your steps." Terran smiled slightly. "I didn't plan that." "Good," Vorak replied. The ones who don't plan it are often the best examples. A long pause followed. Vorak reached into his cloak and pulled out a narrow box. He opened it and handed something to Terran. It was a coin, not made of gold or silver. It was dark stone, carved with the symbol of the honor pit. Terran looked at it. What is this? A record, Vorak said. One is made for every duel. Win or lose, both names are sealed on it. Terran turned the coin. On one side, his own. Name was written in simple letters. On the other, Vorak's name was etched deeper. You didn't ask for a reward, the commander said. But take this. One day, someone will ask why a human name is carved in our history. Maybe you'll tell them, maybe not. Terran closed his hand around the coin. Thank you, he said. Vorak nodded once, then turned and walked away, leaving Terran alone again. As the stars rose, Terran looked down at the coin. It was cold in his hand, but it held something warm. Not pride, not power, just memory. A single strike had broken more than silence. It had broken doubt, and in its place, respect had grown. Terran looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Skarn were still watching, and now so was everyone else. The next morning, the palace halls were filled with movement. Servants carried messages between towers. Council members met in secret rooms. Nobles spoke in quiet voices. The duel had faded into history, but now something more serious had arrived. Terran's report from the outer ring had changed everything. Inside the council chamber, the queen stood at the center of the stone circle. Around her, generals and advisors waited with tense faces. A large screen floated behind her, showing Draxon, Moon, and the nearby region. Red dots blinked along the edge of the outer ring. 3 ships vanished near this zone, said one general, pointing at the blinking points. No distress signals, no debris, no survivors. Same area where the human made contact, another added. The queen said nothing at first. She studied the map, then slowly turned to the side as Terran entered the chamber. His steps were calm, but his eyes were focused. Everyone turned as he walked toward the queen. We need more than guesses now, she said to him. We need action. I agree, Terran replied. But action does not always mean war. The queen raised an eyebrow. Then what do you suggest? Send me back, this time with tools. Let me learn more about what the Skarn are doing. A general scoffed. They will not speak again. You were lucky they didn't attack. Luck had nothing to do with it, Terran answered. They fear us, but fear can turn into hate if pushed. If we move too fast, they'll strike first. You want to go alone again? The queen asked. Yes, another noble stood. Why not send a team? Because the Skarn respond to individuals, Terran said, not armies. They understand lone action. One person means thought. A group means battle. The queen studied him. Then you will go, she said. But this time, you'll have eyes watching from above. A ship will remain close to the zone. You'll carry a beacon. If you fall silent, we send the fleet. Terran nodded. That's fair. Later that evening, Terran boarded a sleek black shuttle built for stealth and speed. Inside were only a few tools, scanners, sound traps, recording crystals, and a single long-range pulse stick. It wasn't meant to kill, just to distract or stun. Before he left, Riven met him near the launch pad. You're walking into dark places again, the historian said. I walk better in the dark than most. Riven handed him a small crystal. This holds the oldest records we have on the Skarn. Most of it is guesswork, but there's one part that repeats often. What is it? They build hives, not just nests, cities, places of thought, memory, and movement. Find that, and you'll understand more. Terran took the crystal, placed it in his vest, and nodded. He left the surface of Zelaron and slipped into the quiet space between stars. The outer ring looked more broken than before. He passed old stations, dead satellites, and lost ships that floated without power. This region had been ignored for too long. When he reached the edge of Draxon's shadow, he activated the scanners. Something had changed, a signal. It was faint, almost hidden, buried deep in the static. But it was there. Not from the moon. From somewhere below the crust. A signal repeating the same 4 pulses. Terran landed on the far side of Draxon, where no one had stepped in many years. The ground was black rock, sharp, cold. Wind moved like it was afraid to make sound. He walked toward the source of the signal, using the tracker in his glove. Each step took him lower into a valley. At the bottom, he found a crack in the stone, just wide enough for a man to slide through. He did. Inside, it was pure dark, but his glove lit a soft path forward. The walls were strange, not cut, not natural, grown. Roots of black crystal pulsed with slow light. The deeper he went, the more the walls changed, smooth, curved, almost breathing. He had found something old, something alive. Then he reached it. A chamber the size of a small arena opened before him. In the center stood a tall pillar of light. Around it, symbols shifted like smoke, and standing near the base were 3 Skarn. They turned as he entered. None attacked. Terran stood still. He didn't raise a hand. He didn't reach for the pulse stick. He only looked at them. One of the Skarn stepped forward, taller than the others. Its eyes glowed blue this time, not orange. Its claws were folded back. It held no weapon. "You returned," it said. Terran's heart jumped. It had spoken. "You remember Earth," he said. "Yes," the Skarn replied. "Your kind burns fast but deep." "I came to ask why you move again. Why now?" The Skarn looked at the pillar. "The stars shift. Old hunters rise. We wake before they do." "Who are they?" "The ones who forget nothing, even time." Terran took a step closer. "You fear them?" "Yes." "Then let us help." The Skarn's head turned slowly. "Help is a word. Trust is a choice." "Then what must I do?" The Skarn pointed at the pillar. "See what we see." Terran walked forward, placed his hand on the light, and suddenly images flooded his mind. Fire. Worlds burning. Creatures with wings of steel. Stars that screamed. A war older than any book. The Skarn had once been hunted too. Forced into silence by an enemy now returning, Terran stepped back, breathing hard. "You fear this. So do we." The Skarn leader moved closer. "Then perhaps fire must walk beside fire." Terran nodded. "I will carry your warning." The Skarn touched his shoulder. "Then walk safely, Fireborn." Terran turned and left the chamber. As he climbed back into the light above, he knew the galaxy had just shifted again, but this time he wasn't alone in seeing it. Terran's ship glided silently through the blackness of space. The stars outside blinked cold and distant. Inside the small cockpit, the hum of engines was the only sound. The long journey back to Zelaron Prime gave Terran time to think. He had seen the Skarn's world. Not just a hive or a nest, but a place of memory and power. A city made of crystal and shadow. They were not just hunters. They were survivors. And they remembered Earth. He touched the bracelet on his wrist. A small piece of home. A promise to keep peace if he could, but if war came, he would stand ready. His ship moved toward the royal fleet that waited near the edge of the outer ring. A large cruiser, full of weapons and watchers, followed his path closely. The Queen's order was clear. If Terran failed or disappeared, the fleet would strike fast. But he had no intention of failing. When he reached the fleet, the captain of the cruiser greeted him with a nod. "We have eyes and ears on your signal," the captain said. "You are clear to move as needed." Terran nodded. "Thank you. I will send updates." He left the safety of the fleet and entered the dark zone again. The dead moon of Draxon lay beneath him. The crack where he found the Scarn chamber was hidden now, covered by shifting dust. He landed quietly nearby. His suit was dark and soft, made for moving unseen. His steps were slow. Inside the ruins, he placed small sensors that sent signals back to the fleet. The devices scanned for heat, movement, and sound. Hours passed. Then the sensors began to pick up faint noises, low growls, quick steps, and soft wings. The Scarn were active. Terran moved carefully toward the sounds. He crouched behind broken walls and studied the shadows. He saw them, 3 Scarn warriors hunting small creatures near the base. Their armor glowed faint blue in the dark. Their claws cut through stone and metal. They did not see him. Terran breathed slowly, calm and quiet. He studied their movements, not just the attack, but the way they communicated. Small signals with their eyes and tails. Patterns of hunting and retreat. He recorded everything. Suddenly, a soft voice came in his ear from the fleet. "Terran, be advised. We detect another ship entering the sector. Unknown origin." Terran froze. He looked up. A sleek black ship moved. Fast, silent, and close. The sensors on his suit picked up energy signatures unlike any he had seen. Scarn? No. Something else. He sent a quick message to the fleet. "Unknown vessel approaching." "Sending tracking data," the captain answered. "Prepare for possible contact." Terran hid behind a large pillar. The new ship landed nearby. A door opened, and a figure stepped out. It was tall and slender. Its skin was pale with soft light, eyes deep and dark. It wore robes that shimmered like liquid metal. Terran stepped forward slowly. "I am Terran of Earth," he said. "Who are you?" The figure bowed slightly. "I am Laura, envoy of the Zari Collective," she said in a voice like music. "We watch this region. The Scarn's return concerns us all." Terran nodded. "I come seeking peace and answers." Laura's eyes studied him. "The Scarn are not the only danger," she said. "The Collective fears war. We wish to avoid it." Terran looked at the shadows. "What do you know of the ancient hunters?" Laura's face darkened. "They once ruled much of this galaxy," she said. "Before the Great Fall. They were stopped only by unity and sacrifice. Now they awaken again." Terran felt the weight of her words. "We must prepare, but not with weapons, with knowledge." Laura smiled slightly. "You speak like a true human." Terran allowed himself a small smile. "We do not seek war, but we do not fear it." Together they walked deeper into the ruins. The Scarn moved silently around them, watching but not attacking. Terran felt the eyes of many creatures on him, some curious, some wary, but none hostile. For the first time, he believed the galaxy might listen. As the suns of Zelaron Prime began to set far away, Terran sent one final message to the Queen. "The Scarn watch us. The Zari watch us. And now, so do we watch them." The message was simple. The meaning was clear. The game was changing. The council chamber was full again. This time, no nobles laughed. No whispers filled the air. Every eye watched Terran as he stepped into the center. The Queen sat quietly, her silver eyes steady on him. He carried the coin from Vorak in his hand. It was a reminder of what had come before, of the duel that had changed everything. "We stand at a crossroad," Terran said. "The Scarn return, the Zari watch. The stars themselves seem to shift." He looked around the circle. "We must prepare, not with weapons first, but with understanding." The Queen nodded. "You have proven that strength is more than power. It is wisdom and patience." Suddenly, alarms rang across the palace. Lights flashed red. Guards ran to their posts. Terran's communicator beeped. "Unidentified ships entering the system. Multiple. Moving fast." The Queen rose. This is no test. Outside, the skies were dark with ships. The fleet scrambled into formation. The nobles and council members gathered by the windows, their faces tense. Terran stood beside the queen. The ancient hunters, return! From the command tower, the captain spoke. Enemy ships are larger and faster than anything we have seen. They bear the marks of the Great Fall. The queen's voice was calm but strong. Prepare for defense, but hold fire until I command. Terran looked up. The ships closed in. Then a message arrived on every screen. We come for balance. The old wars must end. A silence followed. The message was clear but strange. Terran spoke. They seek not just battle, but peace through power. The queen nodded. Then we will meet them in both. The battle began. Ships moved through the skies like deadly birds. Lasers lit the darkness. Explosions shook the city. But the royal fleet held firm. Terran's ship darted between the fighting, sending messages and warnings. Amid the chaos, the Skarn appeared. Their ships flew with strange grace, weaving through the fight, but they did not attack indiscriminately. Instead, they struck only at the enemy's core, careful and precise. Terran realized they fought not for war, but for survival. He called to the Zari envoy, Laura, your people fight well, he said. Together we may end this, Laura replied. The ancient hunters must be reminded that unity is the only way forward. Hours passed. The enemy faltered. Their ships grew fewer. Their power weakened. At last, the queen gave the order to hold fire. The enemy fleet pulled back, disappearing into the stars. The city was safe. The skies were calm again. In the quiet, after the storm, the queen turned to Terran. You showed us that a single voice can change the fate of many. Terran smiled. Sometimes the smallest flame lights the darkest night. Vorak came forward, his face calm. And the fire burns strongest when it moves with the wind. The queen nodded. This is a new age, she said. One where humans walk beside giants, where courage is matched by wisdom, where the future is made by all. Terran looked out at the stars. The galaxy was wide and full of shadows. But now, he was not alone. He had friends, allies, a place, and he was ready.